Hey everybody, it's Mr. Isaacs here, and we are going to do the nervous system body system. Okay, this is probably one of my favorites. So sit tight and let's get through this. It is very complicated, but we're just going to go over the basics today of the nervous system. All right, so the whole goal of the nervous system, the quick and short function of it, should be the coordination and communication between the brain and your body. Okay, being able to basically account for thinking, all voluntary movements of your muscles, and then the decision making. So literally everything your brain does. We're talking about it today, right now. Okay. All right. So the nervous system, what is its function? Well, it's all about being able to communicate with the rest of your body. And so we have a brain, we have our spinal cord, and that spinal cord is going to reach out, as you can see in this photo, to the rest of our body to connect to our muscles, to tell them when to contract, when to relax. Okay. And so transmitting those electrical impulses to communicate throughout the body is rather important. Okay. And then controlling the coordination of actions and muscles, and for our internal organs. So even our involuntary things, our brain still controls. Okay, like keeping our heart beating. Okay, when to give us different hormones. Okay, when to secrete certain hormones, to help us survive. So whether it be human growth hormone to help you guys grow up, or secreting things like adrenaline to help us run away from something that we perceive as dangerous. Okay, nervous system structures. Okay, so these are two things that you definitely need to make sure you remember. Okay, CNS, central nervous system. That is going to be your brain as well as your spinal cord. Okay, so the combination of your brain down to your spinal cord. Okay, these are going to be responsible for all kinds of things. Your brain is going to be the primary organizer, receiver, and distributor of information, whereas the spinal cord is going to be connected to your brain and act as a quick reactionary force for reflexes, as well as a way that the brain can send messages to the rest of the body. Okay, the peripheral nervous system, that's going to be every nerve outside the brain and the spinal cord. So that's going to be every nerve in your skin, okay, that you can touch and feel things with. So just keep that in mind. We got our peripheral nervous system in our skin, and then we also have our central nervous system, which is going to be the main guys. So what are nerves exactly? Okay, so when you take a look at this, I'll see if I can move my photo. There we go. So nerves are going to consists of neurons. They send and receive electrical signals. These are called impulses, okay, as well as neurotransmitters. So the axon, covered by the fatty sheath, okay, the axon's at the end here, all right, the axon. Then we have the dendrites, which look like the spider webbing out from what looks like an egg, right? And the egg center, okay, the nucleus is what that is. So our cell body is in the middle here. Our nucleus is in the actual middle. It looks like an egg, okay? And then we're spreading out on the other side. Then we have our axon, okay, which is branching out to another nerve cell. And then we have our axon ending, all right? And so let's just get a little deeper into this. So our axon of a nerve cell, you can see right here, okay? And then the dendrite of a nerve cell here. All right, so the neurotransmitters, let's go back. The neurotransmitters are going to be sent from our axon, and they're going to be received by the dendrites. Okay, so let's go back. The axon is going to send messages. The dendrites, or the little spiderwebbing effects over here, are going to receive those messages. So you can imagine there's billions and billions and trillions of neurons in our brain, okay? Or just little neurons in our hand, or excuse me, not neurons, but nerves in our hand that are going to send electrical signals that basically communicate by sending little chemicals back and forth. Okay, you can read a little more in depth into the slideshow, but basically what you want to know is that's how your brain is connected. It's just a big web of all these nerves that send messages to one another, and then they make connections, and those connections become more efficient the more they're used. Okay, the more you do something, the better you get at it. All right, whether it be throwing a bat or shooting in basketball or playing catch with a football, the more you do it, the more comfortable your nerves will be at sending messages to help you do exactly what you want to do. Okay, it works for obviously things that are more mentally fatiguing too, is like math and science. Okay, so give your brain a little bit of a break, but you want to work it hard, work it out, just like a muscle. All right, so there's a few different types of neurons, and basically just the axon is going to be in different spots, as well as the cell body. So the one that we looked at was on the far right, where we have dendrites, and then we have a large axon that's sent out. Whereas over here, we're going to have an axon go one way, dendrites are going to go the other, okay? Or we're going to send an axon here, which means both we're only sending out messages left and right, or up and down. Okay, let's keep on going. Types of neurons. Well, we have all of our senses. And like we said, we talked about the peripheral nerves that are in our skin. These are going to allow us to hear, allow us to smell, allow us to feel things, allow us to taste, okay, to see things. All right. And so you can see we have nerves that are going to reach up and be toward the top of our skin. All right. And so that's going to allow us to see or feel things and recognize how tough is it, how hot is it, and gain information so we can make decisions using our central nervous system. Okay. Interneurons. Okay. So we had sensory neurons. Those are the ones that touch and feel. Then we have interneurons. These are located in the brain and spinal cord, and they are going to process the information. So we're going to feel it. We're going to gain the information. Then it's going to go to our brain, and now we have to process it. We need to understand, okay, we got a bunch of nerves firing in our hand. What does this actually mean? Oh, it means that it's actually cold outside. We can feel the air blowing into our fingers, and it's actually cold. We need to do something about it. So this is where we're actually thinking. We're deciding what we're going to do with the information that we've collected. Okay, and so what you do is eventually you're going to tell muscles to actually carry out what you want them to do. And then you're going to use motor neurons. Okay, so sends message from the brain to the body, can cause muscles and other organs to move and function. So you collect information, you think about that information, and then you act. You do something about it. Okay, and so that's the process that we're looking at here with our brain. All right, we collect information, then we decide, all right, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm thirsty. I need to drink some water. All right. Then you actually go drink some water. All right. So this is how we make decisions. Obviously, a little bit more goes into it. And sometimes we go a little bit faster or slower, depending on. But that's the basis of what's happening. So reflexes are just slightly different because we don't want to waste time sending an electrical signal all the way from your hand to your spinal cord, okay, back here, to then all the way up the spinal cord into your brain. Instead, we'd like to send the message to the spinal cord and then immediately tell the hand what to do. And so we do this whenever we're in danger, okay, or we perceive danger. So here you can see the person's hand was reaching for that flame, and it got too close. And so that heat, because it was so hot and it started to burn the hand, the nerves were sending such intense signals that you automatically pull away. You don't even have to think about it. Okay, so the electrical signal goes all the way up into your hand, touches your spinal cord, and then it sends it directly back. That message never actually reaches your brain. Okay, so when you have a reflex, you really don't have time to think before you act. You just act. Okay, and so that's what a reflex is. All right, so this would be normally, if you guys were in class, would be a think, pair, share activity, where you would start thinking about how would you explain the three types of neurons as they function to a friend, okay, and then talk with your lab partner, explain three types of neurons and their functions without your notes. So try to think about that. Take time to pause and think about sensory neurons, gaining information. Think about the interneurons, how we're actually going to collect that information, decide what it means, and then our motor neurons, where we're actually going to send messages to the body to do something, to act. Okay, let's keep going. All right, guys, we're almost done with this. Let's see if we can finish up. Okay, so we are going to have parts of the brain now. We're going to have our cerebrum, cerebellum, oblongata, and spinal cord. Medulla oblongata, and spinal cord. Okay, the spinal cord is going to go down your back. The medulla oblongata is this bottom part down here, and then the cerebrum is here, or on the top, and the cerebellum is this lower part. Pretty hard to see. This is what you really need to know. The parts of the brain are definitely important, but knowing exactly where or what these things do is going to be more important. So the cerebellum, voluntary movements, you're actually moving around. Okay, learning and judgment. This is the last thing to mature. Cerebellum coordinates and balances the muscle action. Medulla oblongata controls involuntary actions, blood pressure, heart rate, breathing, swallowing, all that good stuff. Okay, anything that you actually don't have to think about. And then spinal cord is going to link everything to the rest of the body so we can actually communicate. All right, we're going to skip that one. There's a few neurological diseases that can be pretty scary. I'm going to go through them pretty quickly, but make sure that you take a look at these in your own notes. So ALS is a motor neuron disease, and so they call it Lou Gehrig's disease, and you progressively deteriorate your nerve cells so that you can't control your movements. You basically become paralyzed. You can think perfectly, but you just can't move. It's really, really scary. Strokes is when you have a blood clot to your brain, and so part of your brain won't be able to function because it's not getting oxygen. This can cause problems. It can cause death because certain parts of the brain control certain parts of the body, and you're not able to control those parts, so it becomes difficult. Okay, epilepsy is when your brain fires messages that it doesn't really mean to send, or you didn't voluntarily choose to do so. And so some of you may have witnessed some of these seizures before, or maybe you have some, but it's just abnormal nerve activity. And then lastly, and then finally, MS is going to be an immune disease that is also linked to the central nervous system. And it depends on the nerve fibers and how they get damaged. Okay, so this is a problem that can lead to issues. All right. Well, that's all I got for today. I'll see you guys later. If you have any questions, make sure to ask. Peace.